All right, everybody, welcome to the Armchair Football League Thanksgiving preview. This is our yearly special. We show you every single game, slow simmed broadcast style. All credit to my co-host Steele, who's able to pull that off. Steele, how are we looking for that this year?
Looking fantastic. I was telling Egg made the announcement, it's about 20 hours. But then I thought to myself, I could start right now, but I could also spend an hour and a half talking to Johnny about the games before doing the games. So that's where we are.
It's really the ultimate proper use of time. So,
of course, I was thinking, I was doing my schedule, and I thought, I got a free hour and a half.
So, all right, so we'll jump right in. We won't waste much time, so you can get to work. Why don't you lead us through, since you're doing the games, you're doing the schedule, you kind of lead us through this. So where do you want to start?
All right, so for the show here, obviously, all 16 games, and there's a lot of ways you can order these 16 games. I could do them in game order, but at this point in the year, to some extent at least, we know who's looking at the draft and who's not. And we have not been looking at the draft a whole lot. Me not having any first round picks, or Johnny not having any first round picks either. But I do watch college football occasionally. I dabble, and I told people who do all the scouting. So I've heard names, I've seen things, seen some numbers, seen some charts, some graphs, maybe even. So I put together a top 10 mock, as did Johnny, and we are ordering it in a way to reveal that top 10 mock. There's only one game that features two top 10 pick teams, so it almost works out perfect. Thank you, Minnesota and Seattle, for ruining that. But with that being said, first game up here with the number one pick, the Patriots taking on the Giants this week for our last game, a Monday night game too. So isn't that funny? For my pick here, and I went bold, mainly because this is the guy that I think is the best player right now, having not watched a whole ton of tape. Jordan Tyson. I think he's a monster, and I think their offense needs a monster really bad.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. When you sent it to me, I don't like you were saying earlier. I've only scouted the quarterbacks and the edges. That also doesn't include Arvell Reese. I know that they're most likely looking at him as an edge, but he's listed as a linebacker, so he just wasn't on my list for that position. But outside of that, I haven't really seen. I've tried to keep a blind eye towards pretty much every other prospect. I've heard good things about Tyson, but I don't know if he's number one pick. I lean more towards Arvell Reese just based off of what I've seen. Just kind of keeping an eye on it on Twitter. Kind of seems like the Micah Parsons-esque prospect. That's the comp I've seen a lot for him. Not sure if that's held up throughout the year. But I think, Jackson Dart's looking good. You might have your franchise quarterback. As great as it would be to give him a franchise wide receiver, you also don't want to reach on one. Like I said, I don't know if Tyson is a reach at this point, but I think getting Arvell Reese gives you a franchise edge rusher, which will be huge as you start building both sides of your team.
Yeah, definitely. So I do want to push the window towards wide receivers being about as valuable as edges in terms of drafting, and not knocking these guys down, because they do project very well in these spots, and edges of the top 10 have been a little more up and down even. So I do think that there is some merit to putting one of these guys back into like down quarterback year number one pick range, which is where edges and tackles always live.
Yeah.
Being a down tackle class in this way does kind of leave that open. So I went Tyson for the clickbait. But getting into the game a little bit here, now they both set our picks. The Giants need it bad. They are on a bad run. Their offense has kind of fallen off a cliff, and New England's already caught one team lacking last week. So they may, they're looking to catch another one while they're at it. So Giants, this has got to be a get right game on the road. A team that up until last week has put up almost no points.
Yeah, if you're the Giants and you lose this game, you're starting to feel really worried about how much you invested in this team and what you might be able to pull off as the season kind of winds down. I didn't see an updated standings list, but they're 8-4 now, I guess. If that's correct.
Yeah, they're 8-4. They're 2 games out from the
Yeah.
division. Um, Thankfully, the Eagles did lose one in this 2-game losing streak they got going. So it's not like they got completely lapped, but yeah, splitting the season series. It's not it's not where they wanted to be. They're still a half game out from the best record in the conference, so it's not like they're feeling too bad about their standing in the NFC here. Their record in the conference is 6-3. That's very good. Compare that to Falcons at 4-3. So they do a good job taking care of the conference and division. They're 3-1 as well. So like your metrics you're looking at for tiebreaker stuff is great. They're looking to try to solidify themselves as that 5th seed. They've got a game and a half cushion, so it's like they got room up and down. Uh,
Yeah,
but
I'm not sure you're worried about like missing the playoffs. I think just like seating wise and what you'll be able to accomplish in the playoffs. Like if you're on this 4 game stretch if you lose 4 games in a row and one of them is to New England, I just think you're not really feeling very optimistic about your chances to even make a Super Bowl, let alone win a Super Bowl. So in that sense, it's a must-win game, really, for your confidence going into the playoffs and the final stretch of games here.
yeah, they got to get back on tracks for sure. So they need it for that reason. Seeding wise is where I was more looking, trying to secure the 5 seed if they can't catch up the division. They just got to get back on track. It sucks to lose these games in a row like you did. And that last week was pretty rough, but can be a wake up call. Every team that does a lot suffers a loss. That's like what happened this week.
Yeah.
The Chiefs got blown out week like 3, one of their Super Bowl years. Bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, it's over for the Chiefs. And it's like, it's never over for them.
Yeah.
But you got to respond well. It can end a season too, just as easy as it can be the thing that turns you back around. So, got to jump in there.
Yep.
For New England, you love to keep seeing points. The offense has been pretty bad. So, seeing some more positive signs from Dart in the sim, that's really what we're hoping for the end of the year.
Yeah.
Obviously, Cooper retiring right for the start of the year, that set him up bad. They were really hoping that he would stabilize this offense, and they have not been able to replace that.
Yeah.
And nor should they have been able to. I mean, that's a tough thing to adjust to.
Yeah, I mean, even though this is a down year for the draft, it seems like I think it's good for them ultimately to kind of bottom out and try to get a couple more pieces for this team. So a loss is a win, I think, the rest of the way, so long as you're also getting production from Jackson Dart. You really want him to get that Rookie of the Year. And I think
at this point he's not going to get it. I think Show is way ahead.
Yeah, it's
so I think that's been lost. So it's tough, but you want to see him just play better. That's all it is.
You want the Rookie of the Year, but you also want just the ratings increase. You want to try to start next year with him at the highest rating possible. So you definitely don't want to see your team get embarrassed every week, kind of loss. You're not there at that point.
Yeah, definitely. Next game up here, San Francisco versus Cleveland. Now, this pick is not owned by Cleveland, so it's actually Tampa's pick, and I have them going with Ruben Bain, who I've seen kind of as consistent top edge rusher. His production that I've seen is matched up with that sort of billing. At least the experience there, the position. Obviously, Marvel Reese has been talked about a ton. I went with the more traditional pick, seeing as I kind of felt Jahad Campbell could have done a little bit of that flex stuff too. I don't think he's been used like that much, but I think he had that in his bag. So maybe they could still use him in that role in between. Obviously, Reese does seem like he's going to be fully down, maybe put on some pounds, but for now, he seems a little light. So I went with Bain, who has been awesome as well this year.
Yeah, I liked his tape he is one of the few edges I watched. I need to revisit him just because I know that there's been some production stuff that's come out, I think, on him. And I watched him really early on in the process. But from when I first watched him, I definitely liked what I saw out of him. I have him kind of at the top of my board. I think he's in my top 5, and my top 5 really fluctuates at the moment. because I've only been through two positions. um, but I for Tampa Bay, because this is an extra pick, because they're at the moment anyway, they're gonna have two top 10 picks. I leaned going quarterback for them. We talked about this a little bit of pre-show about them possibly trying to go for a blockbuster deal for a quarterback. Not sure who will be available to fill that, but we know that they were in on Dak Prescott, so I know that they're looking to make some kind of move. I personally don't love that for them. I don't think that this is a team that is a quarterback away. So I think sending a lot of assets for a quarterback that's going to be expensive for you is starting to age. I wouldn't have loved that for them. I think that if they can find a younger quarterback, I'd be more inclined to support that. But at the same time, I think that this is a team that just needs some pieces to add around. I mean, you've got the franchise left tackle, but receiver wise, you have not much out of Chris Godwin. There's not a lot of young talent coming up behind him either. It's a team that I would think just would probably be better off still trying to trade off some assets and keep rebuilding this. If they do go that route, I lean more towards not taking a quarterback, just because I think, especially like with our system, being that pretty much every young quarterback that plays is gonna be fairly successful for you on their rookie contract. I think it's a better use of the asset to build the team and then maybe get aggressive in a trade up down the line for a quarterback. I don't know if I would start a rebuild with a quarterback, especially this class. Dante Moore might be the one where I lean towards doing that with, but Simpson and Mendoza is more of I would draft them high if I had the team around them and was ready to go.
Which Dante Moore, I don't think he's coming out.
Yeah, that's
So
the big thing.
that's been
If he doesn't
the
come
rumors
out,
and reports,
if he
which I
doesn't,
don't want him to either. I want him
yeah,
to play more downs
yeah.
in
I
college football.
personally,
So
I would love to see Moore and Simpson return to school, play a little bit more, um, and then really we could potentially have a huge 2027 QB class where obviously some guys will probably stay to 2028 just to inherently improve their draft stock. But that is ideally what I would want for both of those guys. So, and if Moore stays, I would lean more towards just getting another piece to keep building this team up for the Bucks.
and then for the game here, San Francisco, they are very hurt. And Cleveland, they have fought in these games, and they did get a big win last week. So this feels like the kind of game that, with the season kind of teetering on the balance here for San Francisco, with the Cardinals at 6-5, and we'll talk about their matchup coming up. The Cardinals have an opportunity to gain a game and a half on them before San Francisco goes into their bye, and that's gonna look pretty rough for them. So I think that they have to take care of this one somehow, some way. Without Byron Murphy, without Brian Burns, and there's another guy, maybe Swift.
Yeah.
Without Swift, I think. So it's gonna be on Rodgers. Obviously, still got Nick Bosa, still got Fred Warner. Those guys need to step up, but I guess it's not a Niners team if they're not hospitalized entirely.
Yeah, the thing that I would worry about with San Francisco is they played well in some games that had good pass rushes, but I think that that's starting to catch up to them a little bit because their offensive line is just atrocious. And I mean, you got the Cleveland Browns who still have Myles Garrett. You got Hargrave's hurt actually, so their interior defensive line isn't much to worry about. But Myles Garrett will be the guy to watch in that game because if he can get Rodgers uncomfortable back there, I think it could sway the game a lot and at least make it a close enough game where maybe Madden kind of helps you out a little bit there, and Cleveland could take the win there.
And for Cleveland, Cam Ward has gotten going.
Yeah.
I didn't actually look at the stats for this. I think I said Shook would be the guy. But Cam Ward, 20 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2,454 yards. That is only 100 behind Show himself. So his pass rating is 10 higher. And so with that, he's probably the favorite in the clubhouse right now for that award. If he can keep this up, I mean, we're talking about him having the triple crown here of the quarterbacks. So that's, I mean, That's what you're hoping for at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
He's still not completing a lot of passes, but neither is any of the other rookies. I don't think any of the running backs are really carrying the load either, or receivers really. I don't think any of them are going off to the degree where you start talking about them. So,
Yeah.
Cam Ward, you're a leader in the clubhouse. Keep that going here against a beaten up Niners defense.
Yeah.
Which they could. I mean, this is a dangerous team. They get Rice back. They could definitely find their pick outside of that top 5. There's not too much of a gap between 2 and 10 here.
Yeah.
So they'd have no reason to lose, and they have all the reason to win with Cam Ward being so important to their future. So
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe they got a run in them.
I mean, it helps that they have Rashee Rice, George Pickens, and Ted McMillan. Like it's dangerous. They're a dangerous team to face at this point in the season.
Yeah, basically they can just out-weapon you in any one game, but they have not been able to get any 2 of them going in the same game. It's only been basically just a one of them that's been going off. So now you've got a lot of options for that one, so it's been going good for them. Our next game up here is the one that ruined it all: Minnesota versus Seattle. So we will announce both picks here, and then talk a little bit about the game. So for me, Minnesota being the 3rd pick, I had them taking Caleb Downs, best player available. Obviously, on my board, it does look like we're starting to get quarterback range, but they don't need a quarterback, at least not in theory. So I went Caleb Downs here with Harrison Smith kind of on the edge of retirement, that being the biggest weakness I can see on their team outside of offensive line, which I'm not looking here. I just don't have any of those guys that close right now, was specifically for tackle. So I went with Caleb Downs because I think he should be a top 5 pick.
Yeah, I haven't watched too much of him, but I think this made a lot of sense for them. Their safeties, you have Harrison Smith, but he is expiring, it looks like. Yeah, I think he's expiring. Um, and then Brian Cook and Jonathan Owens, like it's not really great behind them. So I think getting a potential almost Kyle Hamilton esque pedigree safety on your roster is always a good idea when you have the shot at him. So I think that was a solid pick for them. I'd love to see them build up their offensive line more, but I just don't think that this is a very good offensive line class. They could go Ruben Bain, but I mean they have Will Anderson Jr. and Chop Robinson, so probably going to lean on those guys for a bit. So I like the Caleb Downs pick for them.
And then for Seattle, now of course this does feed into the middle of our mock here with the 9th pick. So I guess some spoiler that some of these teams ahead of them will not take this guy for each of us. But for my pick, I went Keldrick Falk. I think he's been a big riser kind of at this point in the year. I like that profile for kind of a late top 10 edge, where their production has kind of driven them up the board during the year. And he's huge too. 6'6", 285, might be a bit of a tweener, but that's kind of how they're using Verse right now, as the tweener between. And I think long term, I would love for them to not do that with him. They've done it because of Dallas Turner and obviously Abdul Carter. It's tough, but the whole team is kind of like this, where wherever you look, you're kind of putting somebody else in a bind. Either the rookie you take or somebody you had on your roster already that you drafted highly. They've had so many picks and they've used them all in valuable positions, but that doesn't mean it isn't a good idea to keep doing it. So I went Keldrick Falk here. Don't have a ton extra on him, other than he kind of fit the archetype that I was looking for. And so, yeah, that's basically what I went.
Yeah, for them, I went Peter Woods. I think that there's teams in front of them that could take him, but in this mock here, he falls, and I think he kind of fits perfectly. Like you said, they have Abdul Carter and Jared Verse. Dallas Turner is coming up behind them as a third edge. They don't really have too many young guys on the interior defensive line. You got Travis Jones, who I really like. And then you have DeForest Buckner, who's signed for another 2 years. So that's a nice interior defensive line. Adding Peter Woods, I think, uh, really makes that front seven something that could be really, really scary down the line for them.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't on the board for mine.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. So it was kind of one of those. That's where I would have gone to, and maybe just not having enough depth of the class scouted to feel like I had other ways to go here.
Yeah.
Into them, but it was interesting. I definitely considered one of the corners. Don't consider one of the receivers, just because um, they done it anyway, so why not? But again, like I don't have the tackles here, and they need a tackle, but I just don't see it this year, which is unfortunate for them. They maybe take a swing at one anyway. It's not like I hate these guys. I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
But for the game, not a whole lot to say here. Kind of in a lot of ways, two sides of the same coin. Where the Seahawks have found a way to win a couple more games, but they're just struggling to score the ball. But they're moving it well. I think the opposite problem for the Vikings, they aren't moving the ball well. So they're both not scoring, but doing it in opposite ways.
Yeah.
Where the Seahawks, they get to the 40 and then take a sack and it's over. But the Vikings go 3 and out every time. So obviously the Vikings had a great week this week in a slow sim. So maybe that's their path, is they can get hot in a slow sim and translate it back to a fast sim. But unfortunately, for that to happen, there's still probably over. Versus Seattle's got a good shot still at sneaking into the playoffs in the NFC. Thing going to run, which is what we've been saying about Seattle for weeks, and they haven't done the run yet. They just been kind of treading water. So we'll see if they can start it off here.
Yeah, this is a game between two teams that really the season has not lived up to either of their expectations, and I think both had a reason to have fairly reasonable expectations for their team. Seattle's a little bit in a murkier territory, I think, because they're obviously not going to draft a quarterback again. But I think all three young quarterbacks on their roster are all question marks. You got JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, and then obviously Tanner McKee. Nobody really expects anything out of. But between McCarthy and Penix, I think both are still very much a question mark. Their careers are still both very young, but I'm not sure how you feel about the ceiling of this team with those two guys. And it hasn't really worked out well for them, I think, in terms of their sim overall, because McCarthy had to sit because of the injury. So I think his rating is still fairly low. And then you played Penix, and I don't think he played particularly great. And I think he started off really low. So it's not like you're looking at it as oh, we've got a huge benefit of this team. I mentioned, I think, earlier in the season in a podcast that it might be reasonable for them to just try to pick one and stick with them, and then try to ship the other one off for some assets right now. There's no rush to do that, but it might be something that might be worth your while. And then with Minnesota, I mean, just looking at their team, I think the big hole, I think, in the interior offensive line might have contributed to some of the disappointment. It shouldn't have contributed to as much disappointment as they've suffered, but there's definitely some holes in this roster that it makes sense that the season didn't quite go their way. I don't think it should have gone as poorly as it has so far. But yeah, I mean, I think for both of these teams, I don't really know how you feel about a win at this point of the season.
I think Seattle feels good about a win at this point for sure. But Minnesota, they did have ACFL All-Pro Zion Johnson that they traded away at the deadline.
That's right.
Interior offensive line was obviously fine because he can play. He is all three positions in himself, so that wasn't the issue. But yeah, I mean, they just didn't get it done. That's it. It's about as simple as it gets. Purdy took too many sacks. For a guy that isn't throwing the ball down the field as aggressively as they needed this season, he took a bunch of sacks and had a bunch of throwaways.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, Brian O'Neill has 10 sacks allowed. That's not on him, probably.
Yeah.
You would think. So it's just how it goes. But moving on to the next team that also didn't think they were going to be here, in this game being the Chargers game. Raiders versus the Chargers here. I have the Chargers taking Arvell Reese. So the fall, if you'll call it that, stops here at 4.
Yeah, I had them going with Ruben
Um,
Bain.
yeah.
So we
So
both
we
we
flipped
yeah
Bane and Reese essentially. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
I mean, I have nothing more to add than what you said. It's you're shooting at the Michael Parsons role. I think that Parsons going 12 is actually decently fair based off of how I feel like these guys actually normally go.
yeah,
He's the kind of like we're trying to move linebacker down sort of deal. Just trying to be an athlete. I'd love to see measurements on him because I know he's not necessarily super tall, but I do think he's a taller linebacker. So like that's good for leverage and stuff like that's so important for these guys.
yeah,
If you're trying to play just super physical too, which is a lot of these guys do, um, it helps to have that. But
yeah.
we'll see kind of how everything testing wise comes down for him as far as that transition. But he's got the stuff for it. He can do it.
Yeah, and I think for me, Ruben Bain it's a toss up right now. I think for me between Reese and Bain as the top pass rusher, and I think if you're the Chargers, we talked a little bit about this pre-show. Won't get too much into it, but I think that you're a team that's like, all right, we're looking to kind of rebuild around Herbert. We got Derek Stingley, who one of the best young corners in the game. Um, Interior defensive line has some interesting pieces. Jordan Davis being one of them. Um, offensive,
Pending free agent Jordan Davis, I think.
yeah,
What do they think of his 5th year?
that I don't know. You also got
Can't remember.
Rashawn Slater as your tackle. Dominic Puny also on your offensive line. So those are two nice building blocks on the offensive line. Um, and then yeah, so I mean, there's definitely areas where you have to rebuild this team. Um, Edge being one of them, and I think that that's just where I would go if I was them. You have a chance. You have all of your picks for the next 3 years. So, and you've got a lot of cap space. So, I mean, making small moves to kind of acquire some more picks, nothing crazy. Just a couple, if you add a third here, a fourth, and a fifth there, I think you could really build up a nice team that is cheap around Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think they have to try for it for sure.
Yeah.
And getting a guy like Reese or Bain is a great start to that on defense.
Yeah.
Because I think there'll be opportunities on day 2 to fill out the offensive line.
Yeah.
Wide receiver is always good on day 2. They need it. So I like them there. In this game, though, I hate to say it, but the Raiders, this one feels like another one that they're not going to get out of. They cannot win these games.
Yeah.
They're not like they just can't execute. It's come down all. I mean, I hate to say it comes down all to the quarterback, but like Jaden Daniels, like 64% of his passes, he hasn't cleared 65 in a single like run of games. It feels like,
Yeah.
and he's just not playing well. He's got games in the 50%. That's last week, 55% completion percentage.
Yeah.
That just can't be. That can't happen. But it happens all the time for him. So hopefully the fast sim he can get some, or the slow sim he can get some rhythm going here. But it's been frustrating, and they can't get McCaffrey going either through the air or on the ground.
Yeah.
It's decent yards per carry, they don't give it to him enough. 54 yards a game, only 5 touchdowns at this point in the year. I mean, you probably need both those numbers to be at least 50% higher.
Yeah. I mean, that's
to really get where you want to go.
It's the weird thing about Madden is like these quarterbacks who really have their legs as like a primary weapon just don't ever seem to produce in a way that they might get to in real life. Like we've seen it with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, I don't think has finished in the top of the MVP voting in any of the years we've been here. And it's because Madden just kind of neutralizes his legs, which is his biggest weapon.
I mean, yeah, Lamar Jackson, he only has 11 passing touchdowns on the year.
Yeah.
That is the lowest of any full-time starting quarterback, tied for lowest.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo has 10.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of a rough thing that you just have to deal with those guys, and hope at some point Madden kind of gets out of that dynamic and makes these guys more effective.
Yeah, I didn't mean to keep throwing shots at Lamar there, but you brought him up, and I was looking at the low end of the stats, and yeah, he's the second lowest passing yards too.
Yeah,
So it's just it's just not going to get it done.
yeah, it's a rough time for
Um,
him.
it's he did win MVP in the sim gave him MVP one year because he had like 7 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah,
And they're like, oh my god, that's the best. And even though his total touchdowns didn't even get close to the guy we had winning it,
yeah,
it's like never change, man. But yeah, so Raiders, they need it. They let go of the division because they couldn't close games. They had a couple ties that were somewhat lucky, but also very unlucky, depending on what point in the game you pick to decide when luck starts. Um, and um, then they just haven't played well to even get back into games a couple of times. So it's just a weird team. But I'm hoping they can put it together. They're a
yeah.
fun team, um, but need more. All right. Arizona, speaking of fun teams, versus Tampa Bay, speaking of fun teams. This is Tampa Bay's own pick here, and I have them going with Peter Woods. Again, no quarterback still for them. Um, and I just think they won't do it. If they wouldn't do it with the first pick, which I didn't think they would, don't think they do it with the second. And so I've got them doubling up here on the defensive line. Uh, Probably not a need, really. But I don't think that they would draft for need. So I have them stocking up players there and just trying to build an awesome defensive line, keep the defense growing, and then we'll figure out the offense maybe next year with later picks this year, and we'll keep rolling.
Yeah, I have them take with this pick. I have them going Jordan Tyson. Whether or not they go quarterback with their first pick. I mean, you had him as the number one overall pick in yours. Obviously, I think that was more of like circumstance and trying to match the team, especially with the franchise quarterback um, within Jackson Dart. I think that he's clearly a talented player, and like I said, whether or not they go with a quarterback or not, adding Jordan Tyson uh, is just a real valuable piece to the future of their team, regardless of how fast they decide to move or how slow they decide to move with their rebuild.
Yeah. I would have had them take Tyson at 2, which obviously they took Tyson at 1.
Yeah.
But I did consider not going it because New England just trying to build, they built the trenches on one side and build on the other. I did consider doing that.
Yeah.
And I would have had them go Tyson because I thought that was a great fit too. For the game here, Arizona finally got the offense rolling. And so now they get a little bit more of a test here, I'd say, with Tampa defense. It's graded out a bit better to start the year. So now we'll see if they can continue to keep that onslaught going. They stumbled pretty hard here in the offensive rankings in recent weeks. They went from first by about 5 or 6 points at like 32 a game, 33 a game, down to 25 points per game average, even with last week. That's how bad that run was.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it all along. Their offensive line is pretty weak, and it's a big debate within the league of how much the offensive line matters. So, I think with a team like the Cardinals, they're ripe for big swings. I think they have a lot of weapons that allows them to get to see a lot of really high highs, but they have some glaring holes that will, when they're in the lows, they'll really feel those lows.
Yeah, I mean, definitely offensive line, I feel stabilizing force is a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
When your offense is dealing with pressure all the time, it comes down a lot to whatever your quarterback decides to do in that game to hand. And Lawrence has done an excellent job this year of navigating it and keeping them on schedule. But in the games he doesn't, or the games he starts to get rattled, and it's over.
Yeah.
So you just try to build the offensive line to avoid that, even though sometimes you don't notice it because your guy's doing a good job.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I really had to say.
Yeah.
Tampa's been fun though. Like one of the more fun 3-8 teams we've had.
Yeah, they were a tough team earlier.
They're actually playing well. Like it's not like in a fun like, oh, look at them. They beat one team. Like they kind of given everybody the business here. They're not a team I would love to to walk into a week against right now,
Yeah,
because it's like you have to walk in knowing you're supposed to beat them, but you also walk in knowing that they're not going to lay over. So it's a great bad team to be if
yeah,
you're Tampa. I think you feel great about how this year's gone.
yeah. Agreed.
Speaking of feeling great about how the season's gone, the Houston Texans, let them go. Uh, Hot start to the year. Obviously, they lost to Buffalo last week, but they kept it close, almost pulled it off. So I think again, you love where you're sitting, and I think that's a test that you can feel good about. We can hang with a team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So they didn't get a good Richardson game out of that either. So they can get a little more out of him. Perfect. But for them, they're facing the Colts. Colts pick is what we have to discuss here. And I've got them taking Fernando Mendoza here. I like Mendoza's game. And I don't know if he's quarterback one for me, but the Indy thing, I had to do it.
Yeah.
And then I also considered the whole not take a quarterback after you took one last year. And I kind of get it. Um, and there was a couple different ways it could have gone, I guess. It's just kind of hard to figure out what should be the plan. Um, and so I went Mendoza because I think he's gonna be good, at least good enough to be your guy.
Yeah, I mean,
And this team hasn't had that,
yeah.
so
I mean, the Shador thing really hurts. Uh, you took him like I think 16th overall last year. He falls to the 5th round. Um, the fact that he's playing now in real life definitely makes the. If he didn't play the whole year, I think that would have been more like, okay, we probably have to go quarterback. Um, I think the fact that he's playing gives you at least an opportunity to feel some sense of optimism around his game, assuming he plays decently well. Um, that might be able to sway you from taking a quarterback. I like Dante Moore, Ty Simpson, and Fernando Mendoza. I like all three of those guys. Moore is the one guy I would probably be more aggressive towards getting. I've been under the impression that he's just not going to come out though. Um, I have Indy going with any of those three. I like the IU connection. Mendoza's the one for me though. I think if he goes to a good team in real life, that you'll get that he'll be really worth the pick. I think if he goes to a team like the Jets, a team that has a lot of pieces in real life, I would be extremely happy to take Fernando Mendoza. If he goes to a team that doesn't really have a lot, I'm not really sure who's at the top of the draft. So Tennessee, they're obviously not taking a quarterback. The Giants, the Saints might take another quarterback.
So wait, I want to back up a second.
Yeah.
You think you'd be happy taking a Jets quarterback? I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. What you said.
given what
That's what
they
you meant.
given what they have, yes, I listen. If there's anybody who understands the calamity of a Jets quarterback, it is I.
He's back in, folks.
No,
Jets fan still. His
I
heart still tell every once in a while. His heart still tells us the truth.
no, I've thought about like if they took a quarterback that I like, and I don't have the energy to be a fan anymore. I do think though
You're
that they
you're you're already back in, buddy.
the but like given the team, like I really like their offensive line. Garrett Wilson's a good receiver. I think that Mechie and AD Mitchell have potential to be really solid depth receivers. So if you plant a guy who's got good processing skills in that team with a good offensive coordinator, I mean Mendoza. The problem with Mendoza if he goes to the Jets is more injury related. I think that's where the concern comes in. So really, you're just hoping for like a Pennington esque, where like when he plays well, but you're never really going to get a ton out of him. You're never going to really get to an elite status. Um, but no, I mean, I like that play for a team. I think that they have good pieces, so I would be happy if he went there and I was a team that took Mendoza in here. So if you're Indy, I really like a Mendoza pick right here.
Yeah, I think he's just a baller. I think it was it is. I think he will come out in the big moments. and rise to the occasion here. Obviously, it is a little weird thinking of it so much as Indy to Indy connection because he literally just got there.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not really like that. But you know what?
It's
We're
kind of like
counting it anyway.
cemented their turnaround. They've been good, but not really. People haven't bought into them the past few years. I think they're a little bit because of Mendoza. I think teams are willing to be a little bit more like, okay, I buy their hype. I have some concerns about Mendoza and the schedule that they've played. He's kind of beaten up on a lot of really bad teams, and he's struggled pretty
That's just
considerably.
SEC bias right there.
So that would be my concern. I'd have to look more into that side of his tape. But I think at the very least you're getting like a Jared Goff kind of quarterback, and that's a productive guy.
Yep. So, all right, I don't have much to say on Houston. What could you say? Take care of business.
Yeah,
You know what I
great,
mean? It's
great season.
kind of just keep going. Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys are killing it. I mean, fuck, no notes.
Yeah.
Awesome. uh, but yeah, so that's all I got to say on Houston. I know it's kind of sad sometimes when we come to the team, we're like, good job. But it's the truth. You're getting everything out of AR you could ever ask for.
Yep.
You're running the ball well. Garrett Wilson's getting the ball. Defense is playing great. Latu is a monster in real life too. Did you see that catch he made?
Yeah.
Or the tipped up and catch? Yeah. I thought he scored the touchdown for on live. I was like, hell yeah. Because I love Latu coming out. I did see somebody on Twitter say that he'd be a defense player of the year candidate if it wasn't for Garrett. And I'm like, all right, well, let's simmer down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because just because he has 3 interceptions doesn't mean that's as good as 10 sacks.
Yeah.
But whatever. Regardless, tangent aside here. Great vibes in Houston. We love it. And the sweat move is working out great for them too.
Yeah.
One of the more impactful deadline moves, at least as far as immediate production. I think he's got 3 sacks with them already. Yeah. So love that. Moving on to our next pick here, the Rams pick, as they take on the Cardinals. The Rams were a tough team for me.
The Panthers, you mean? They take on the Panthers?
What?
They take on the Panthers, I think.
Yeah, what did I say?
Cardinals.
Oh, sorry. So it's CAR.
Yeah.
So I looked at their acronym and just sorry, Panthers. Yeah. I was so close, only off on the opposite color and opposite type of animal. Anyway, Rams, Panthers. But yeah, for the Rams pick here, kind of went back and forth on a couple different things here, kind of what to do. I like the receivers here and definitely thought about it for a long time. And maybe in the end, I wish I did it. But I like Iamainer enough right now, even though they don't give him the ball a lot in Tennessee, to be like, maybe not another top take on a guy with Luka being number 1. So I went Jermon McCoy, who I think is my top corner right now. Corner is very hard to get a read on in season.
Yeah.
But I think he's the guy I like the most right now. Obviously, I mean, this is surface level stuff, and corner surface level stuff. Shoot, he could be a 3rd round guy for me by the end. Who knows? But I think corner, I like them going after here. I don't hate their corner room just in concept.
Yeah.
But just looking at what's on the board here, with how good they've done, on the offensive line with a couple picks they've made already, I don't feel like it's need to reach for it here. Josh Simmons and Frazier, Moten on the other side. You can fill that in pretty easy, even though it is a pretty good guard class. So
yeah,
I feel good about going for some playmaking in the secondary.
Yeah, I have to change my pick for them because I forgot that they took Simmons last year, and they have Taylor Moten, who signed for a few more years. So I had them going tackle just because I forgot about that. So I actually think that I like this change because you get Carnell Tate right here. I think you just need more weapons around Caleb at this point. I think you're really trying to you got good pieces on defense. I know that they've tried to shop Benito, but you've got 2 more years left to deal with that. So I wouldn't move him. I wouldn't be in a rush to move him. You got Lucas Van Ness, interior defensive line. You got Braden Fisk, corner. Probably going to have to give Benford a pretty decent extension. Their big problem is that they just don't have a lot of cap space right now. which is kind of crazy to me. It's probably a lot of dead cap, I think. No,
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how they used up all their cap.
Yeah, this is weird.
Honestly, looking at the team, which is kind of, they paid Moten a lot of money, but
Yeah,
you can usually pay a lot of money to a couple guys and be okay. So, I think probably just some of that, and we talked about this at the end of the last Rams era. They were too aggressive on these middle contracts. I think they've kind of kept that same mentality to an extent,
yeah,
um, and need to clean up some of that money still. So
yeah,
that's kind of where I see it. And maybe I was undervaluing their corner room a little. Should have gone receiver. I would have gone Tate. Not my top guy, but when you compare up Ohio State wide receivers, I mean, shoot, why not?
yeah. No, I mean,
The
I like
Tate's a limb
I like
monster
going
anyway.
cornerback
So
for them. Benford, Moss, and add another one in there. I mean, the receivers you got Tyler Boyd and Egbuka. So you add Amenor. I don't know how to say his name.
Manor. Also, I mean, I can't imagine Boyd's on this team next year.
Yeah, he's
I think he's
expiring.
probably getting cut.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine. He might be on the team. I can't imagine they're exposed to hoping to start him.
Yeah, I think at the very least you're going for the top skill position guy, which is probably going to be receiver or cornerback at this point. I don't think you're going for non-premium positions with this pick.
But yeah, flipping over to Carolina side, starting to put things together in their season. They're hoping for a wild card spot with Atlanta being so good. So they're starting to slowly piece it together. I think that they lack the firepower. We talked about at the beginning of the year in our preview that we kind of thought, I said it. It's it's a house built on stilts.
Yeah.
And they kind of took it to heart and understood where they were, tried to pivot to looking a little bit more long term. But they did it from a spot that's like, that's not really an option. You're paling buckets of water out of a sinking boat as far as the asset pool goes.
Yeah.
But maybe they use those picks well, however it goes. But I think that they've got enough on this team that they can make a little noise here in this playoff still. Young's still having a pretty solid season. The turnovers were more front loaded this year. He's kind of calmed down on that, if I remember correctly. So there's definitely a path for this team to still be dangerous in the playoffs in the NFC.
Yeah, I think that they still have a chance. They made some kind of not confusing moves, but like they went one direction with a lot of their deadline moves, and then obviously the Derek Brown trade with me. But that was just more of like, I think they just couldn't pass up what I was offering at the time. So
yeah, I mean, I think that they probably are not, they're gonna miss him if they get into a big game.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're seeing the big games this year. So
yeah,
looking long term, I don't know. It's always tough with these guys because, I mean, they can win you the game outright. But anyway, let's talk about some Thanksgiving stuff here. We've got 2 out of the next 3 games. Actually, 3 out of the next 4 games out of the Thanksgiving games. So love how that worked out, right? KC versus Dallas up first here because Dallas has the 9th pick. With Dallas, I went Ty Simpson. I don't know if I love them taking a quarterback right away, but at the same point, I think I might. Keishawn Booty breaking out in real life. Maybe not like a huge breakout at this point. This is a 3rd rounder we're talking about, though, here, I believe. So they're going to get a wide receiver 2 out of him next year, if I had to guess. With CD, I don't think you cannot have a quarterback and keep CD happy for very long.
Yeah.
So I think Ty Simpson, I'm not sure I love him. I kind of want to, but then I don't know if the accuracy is going to be consistent enough. He's only played the 1 season.
Yeah.
Those guys don't project super well. I would agree with you that I would love for him to come out, but also at Alabama, I don't think they're going to give him 2 years, which it sounds really bad to endorse a guy for a top 10 pick when you kind of think that in your heart. But I think that basically Alabama's going to try to get the top quarterback in the transfer portal every year, but they didn't do it this year. So that is some indication that they do like this guy a lot.
Yeah, I don't think that if he decides to stay, I think that they're gonna say, well, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. We don't have to spend any NIL money on, let's spend the NIL money on getting this guy more help so that we can kind of help him improve
Maybe
his draft stock.
maybe not, but also I don't know. I don't trust this era of college football. I think that weird things happen.
Yeah. I mean, at
But
the very least,
I
I can
do
see.
think that I'd love for him to come for himself. I don't want him to come out.
Yeah.
Like I think it's bad for him to do it. I think it should be a one quarterback class.
Yeah.
Because Mendoza, I think, has played a lot of football. I think he's proven himself at this point that he can do it against better competition.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of set up to be the guy. So if it's not them, then it's like, okay. I think that it's probably got to be just him coming out.
Yeah.
Which would make it a very interesting bidding war at the top if it is just Mendoza.
Yeah.
Because then I think it looks like he's the only guy. And then would a team see that as their shot? Of that, I don't know, because all of these teams we've talked about doing it, specifically Tampa, Indy, Dallas, and then maybe Washington toss in there. All of them, you kind of look at them like, well, I don't know why you'd be so urgent to do it.
Yeah.
But the league has seen random urgency before, so I'd love that dynamic on draft night, figuring out.
Yeah,
Or probably before, realistically. If it's the one pick, it'll be before.
Yeah, I've said to, if you're a team that doesn't need a quarterback, and you're sitting with the top overall pick, the biggest thing that you could get is Simpson and Moore returning to school, because then it's just going to inflate the price on Mendoza. It's going to be an arms race for him.
Yeah, so that'd be fun. I would love that. But this class kind of does need some quarterback injury because right now it doesn't have a ton of that intrigue at the top. So it'd be, I don't know. But KC versus Dallas. KC, I think, still looking barely on the outside of a playoff picture here, which at 7-4 just feels like we're just doing the last 2 years again.
Yeah.
Which has got to feel like hell. Kansas City, man.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine being there again. It was just like, I've won 7 games at this point of the year, and I'm not a playoff team. Like, just kill me.
Yeah.
But they're still there. I think they'll take care of Dallas comfortably. Dallas does not have the juice. Russ is completing 59% of his passes on the year. We talked about how some of those other numbers are concerning. That's, unplayably bad.
Yeah.
So I don't think Dallas has any juice the rest of this year. I might even go out and say that they are going to win a single game the rest of the way and no more.
Yeah.
I don't know what game it'll be, but they're going to win one game the rest of the year because I don't see the offense putting anything together.
Yeah.
It's kind of the version of Russ that I saw in the mirror when I was trying to play him. It's like,
yeah, the game that they win will be the game that they're playing a team that's decent, and that decent team just their offense brings nothing to the table, and then you win the game like 9-3. So hopefully the Giants have played.
It's going to be. Oh God, poor Bird. But yeah, next up, Denver versus Washington. Washington pick here. This is number 10. We did 11 picks. I did at least because why not? These teams are tied in record, so I thought why not? And I made the comment earlier about the Rams, and I honestly could have just done that here, but I didn't. So, what am I going to do? I didn't pair out the Ohio State wide receivers. I gave him Mekhi Lemon. I think Lemon's a better receiver, but he's a little smaller. So maybe I think Tate's 6 foot. Where's my thing again? Fuck. Whatever. I think Lemon's the best receiver of the two. I don't say that with my whole chest, but I say it with enough of my chest to send the pick in.
Yeah.
Tate's 6'3". That's what I thought. I thought Tate was bigger, but Lemon's my guy. I liked him last year, and he's only gotten way better this year. So for a team, I think is lacked in the weapons department, at least in terms of production. I went with Lemon here for Washington, and they can run back the Jameis Winston fun if Jameis doesn't retire. He's got to be old now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I had them going Carnell Tate before I made the mistake with the Rams pick. So I'll switch my pick to Makai Lemon. Just because, yeah, just getting skill position guys. I think that's what this draft will be mostly about.
And then for Denver, they are actually only a quarter of a game better than Washington. With the one extra tie and the one less loss. So our half, is that a half game? I don't know. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's something. But they are, below 500, kind of similar boat with the Raiders here. Hopefully Darnold can get going. He had like one transcendent game and then has sucked other than that.
Well, it's funny
So
because
it's kind of like, what do you do with that?
What's funny is I just remembered last season where they made some aggressive moves at the trade deadline because they had a decent start to the season, and then they just completely went in the tank. And I think they finished really poorly the rest of the way. And this season has not been much better. I can't remember if they won last week. I'm looking at their standings from the week before, and they're 4-5-2. I mean, 2 ties is a killer. That's just
they were on by. So
okay, all right. So yeah, 4-5-2. So you're under 500 with two ties. That's just nightmare fuel. So
yeah, you can't even finish 8-1. So it's just like, what's the point?
I mean, when you look at the
finish
team,
you're gonna finish 8-7. That's gross.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the team, like the offensive line has the weakness. That's where the weakness kind of lies on the team. Linebacker, interior defensive line. The edges are decent with Van Ginkel and Chubb, but it's really the trenches that kill them. They don't really have anything on the interior defensive line. The offensive line is pretty subpar, and I think that's I think that's a fair enough reason to believe that that's why they have suffered as much as they have since making their aggressive moves at the deadline last year.
Yep. All right. One more pick here. Keep moving. Been yapping too much. I'm running out of time. Cassie's about to come down and yell at me, be like, "Hey, where's food?" Anyway, Green Bay versus Detroit here. Green Bay, what a run for them, eh? Undefeated in Zay Flowers' era, according to the Acorn statistics. Up to 6-5, lead the division. They ride high. But for Detroit, not that far behind. 4-6-1 here. This NFC North is still tight and now all around 500. They're making a big push to the top. So maybe Detroit will come back and surprise some people. But for now, we made a pick for them. I gave him Carnell Tate. Receiver room with Keon Coleman not working out. At least it seems. Take another shot at it. I think Tate is awesome. And he's kind of in that similar-ish mold with being the bigger body receiver type that they looked at before. So I think that's a great landing spot for them to try to give a safety valve for Goff.
Yeah, I gave them Caden Proctor. I don't love that. Everything I've seen on him is he should not go that high. But I had to give him somebody, and I haven't looked at the draft too much, so that's who they got, Caden Proctor.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into the tackles, guards thing.
Yeah.
Just off the hunch here, I have the feeling that I'm going to be high on him as a guard and put him around here anyway. That's the vibe I've gotten based off the physical traits I knew he had.
Yeah.
But yeah. And the guy who delivers Mercedes parts to the shop knows him, and so that's a plus. So I'm gonna have to bump up my brownie ratings for that.
Yeah, you gotta
anyway.
You gotta go with the guys you know.
Exactly. Like, you know what? Hey, he's a good guy. All right. So plus, it's like the interview scores. It's that one pick, interview scores. Like, yeah, drafting based off of that, even though I don't interview these guys. Anyway. Moving on to the real games here, we are going to kind of do quick fire on these. Like I said, mainly framed read that. It's meant to be a teaser that's gone on for an hour now because that's how we roll. Cincinnati versus Baltimore here. Cincinnati has been beaten down for like 3 or 4 weeks in a row here. And I don't think it's going to stop here. I think it's Lamar's get right game and not the Bengals get right game.
Yeah.
So I'm anticipating this being a bit of a bloodbath here on Thanksgiving, and the game that kind of signals the end of the end of the road here for Cincinnati. We kind of maybe already got it, but if we didn't already get it, I think this one might feel like it.
Yeah, Baltimore's playing pretty well as of late. To have a few more, they have another gear I think to get to, and yeah, I mean, I think we both acknowledge at this point we're kind of disappointed that Cincinnati didn't try to go for the three-peat, um, and I just their season. I don't have a lot of hope left for the rest of their season. So
Yeah, so that's kind of how I see it. I would like to be wrong. I think the league is better when Cincinnati is in the hunt. Um, but I also don't want to face them being good. So, you know, take that as you will.
yeah,
I did also. I mean, I didn't want the Ravens to win last week, and that happened. So what do I know?
sorry.
Yeah, what the heck? You beat me, and you can't beat them. Fuck. Whatever. It's
That's
fine.
how
I'll
it
have to
goes.
do it myself. Next up here, now the NFC North has actually won 4 straight games against top seeded teams in the conference, top 2 seeded teams in the conference, with their beating of the Eagles and twice beating of the Giants and the beating of me. And now the Bears play the Eagles. Can they go for 5 in a row? The Bears, that offense got rolling against the best defense in our league right now. Obviously, a little different dynamic on that defense without Jair. Rip. But even still, they had to do it against the rest of that defense. It's not like Jair has like 10 interceptions. That's the only reason we were good. Like we got sacks and shit like
Yeah.
that. Like it was like still gonna be a defense near the top, and they were able to move the ball decently well for a team that basically wasn't putting up any points for a couple weeks. So if that's back, and the Eagles have kind of shown to be a little up and down despite their overwhelming talent, and the Bears can get after the quarterback too. So they could definitely catch them here. Get back to 500, keep up with the Packers, and also the Lions, who are, if they get a win, especially, will be right there. So it would be
Yeah,
really fun
yeah,
if
it'll
the
be
if the NFC North just consistently beats the best teams in the conferences, and then kind of just sit around 500 anyway.
yeah.
That's the best outcome for everybody.
Yeah, that's ACFL to a T right there, and that's what you're rooting for the ACFL.
Hell yeah. Do
Um,
you have anything to add on this one?
no, I mean it's Philly's an insanely good team. I think every team's going to have their hiccups during the season. I think they've probably had their share of them. So I think Chicago can give them a little bit of run for their money, but I think Philly's just a juggernaut, and it's hard to bet against them, and it's hard to really not be optimistic about their chances in pretty much every single game.
Yeah, basically so. Next game up here. Now, I I feel like the Falcons and Jets have played each other like 15 times in the ACFL. I don't know why, but I feel like I only see this matchup. So I don't know what's going on in my brain, but like I saw this, it's like they played again. Like it's like divisional opponents. I don't know. You probably only played once, but it feels like you guys have played a bunch. So
I can actually probably tell you right now. We played the first year was the London game. The second year
yeah.
we did not play them. The third year we did play them, and the fourth year we did not play them. So it's been every
It's only
other
been
year.
it's only been every other year, but man, it does feel like you guys play a lot. So that's what's important.
Well,
I don't know if what it maybe it's the red and the green, make me think something else. I don't know. But I was like,
it's weird
they
to
played again.
it's weird to play an NFC team 3 times in 6 years.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, anyway, played again. Uh, this time, it's not in London or not against Anthony Richardson. So we'll see how that dynamic changes. But the Jets, like, the schedule continues to line up teams for them to have to rise to the occasion on, like, not easy weeks, as they, hard fought game against Baltimore, couldn't quite pull it out. I don't think May was very dialed in that game, though I think his numbers ended up okay.
Yeah.
Don't feel like he really was clean watching it back. Obviously, I didn't watch it live, but watching it back, I didn't feel like he. I think they had opportunities to really blow that game away and didn't take advantage. So
Yeah, we had a
I don't
lot
think you
of
feel bad about it, but like you just think it happens.
Yeah.
He didn't execute.
We had a lot of red zone opportunities in that game. It was very similar to their game against the Bengals, the Patriots game against the Bengals today, where you just had a lot of opportunities to finish drives and you just couldn't find a way to do it. Couple of turnovers hurt us as well. It's kind of been like our defense has finally figured it out, and our offense has come back to life a little bit. It's still a very potent offense, but um, it's had its share of struggles. Like Cincinnati, we only scored 17 points. We struggled early against New England, and we came on strong uh, before that. Um, so it's had its hiccups. The defense has carried the weight the past few weeks. I think it's really helped out the offense not look as bad as I think it has been.
For sure. So, in this one, I'm expecting it to kind of follow a similar line as the Ravens game did. Atlanta's offense has been a bit better, so maybe it's going to be one of those where instead of being 26-23, it's like 33-30. Um,
Yeah, we've been toying
but
around with our playbooks also the past few weeks. So I'm kind of hoping that we get back to one that was working for us for most of the season, and that kind of straightens us out. I mean, like May's still been very good, still leading the league in passing yards, I believe. I think he's definitely leading the league in yards.
by 20 or 32,
Yeah,
32 yards over Bo Nix.
yeah. So he's had a step back the past like 2 weeks, I think. Um, as we've kind of toyed around with new playbooks. So we hopefully we'll get to the right one and we'll pick up where we left off.
Yeah, for sure. Next one up here is Saints versus Dolphins. Don't have a ton to say except for Kyler is back. So the team has kept their head at eye level here, or at water level here. Haven't drowned. And that's all you'd ask for, but they really cannot afford another Kyler injury. So just like go down, throw the ball away a little earlier, something. Because Jimmy's been playing admirably, but like they really need Kyler to come in and play well.
I think the key is they just need to take the pipe out of Jimmy G's hand. Because I think he's Tanya hardening Kyler twice this year.
I don't think Jimmy wants to play. I feel like every time he comes in for the first time, he throws a pick. Like fuck this. So I don't think Jimmy actually wants to be playing football. I think he wants to cash that check and go home, but he's forced to play football. But either way, maybe he is though. Maybe he is a glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to be here, but I have to play if I'm going to be. But Miami's been very good outside the division. I think that they are like 6-1 out of the division.
Yeah.
So if they can keep that going, like that's a recipe to make the playoffs. You only play 6 games in your division. So if you win 11 games outside of the division, 10 games outside of the division, that's the playoffs. So
wait,
unless you're the Chiefs.
When did Call of Duty and Battlefield come out, and when was Kyler's first injury?
Oh, Kyler got injured like week 1, okay. So no, he was injured right away.
Right, so
no,
maybe,
it didn't work out. That would have been funny though.
That was just a freak accident. That was just like an actual injury. But now we've got
the second one.
The second one.
The second one was the Call of Duty injury. Yeah.
Jimmy, get out there! I got Alex Salag.
Our next game up here, Jags Titans. Titans. It's weird because it doesn't feel like they're playing very good, but Bo Nix is essentially the MVP favorite with the same touchdowns, 22 less yards, and 3 less picks. So it's probably a toss-up between them.
Yeah.
So it's like it feels weird for a team that isn't playing particularly good. And I think that you just look at JSN being a monster here. Like, oh, well, I mean, he's only got 1,000 yards already. And 11 touchdowns. So maybe he's just him. Which I mean he is. So
yeah, I'm calling JSN merchant.
know what? Yeah, you're just trying to spread your agenda. All right. You're a garbage time merchant over here. Plus, he didn't score 20 fantasy points this week, so fuck that guy. I won by like 30, so it didn't matter. But what if it did matter? Fucker. Anyway.
He knew it wouldn't, so he took the week off.
Wait, listen. Maybe one day I'll need it, though. He won't be able to deliver. He's always giving me 15 points a game instead of 20. Anyway, last game up here, Bills and Steelers. Two top teams in the AFC, 1 and 2 seeds. One of these teams has got a division rival right on their heels for if they lose this game. So, yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. Never look forward to Bills games. Don't love them.
Yeah, it's this is definitely the highlight game of the week for us. A lot of eyes will be on it. I think if you're the Jets, the Dolphins, the Ravens, a lot of teams in the AFC, I think, will be watching this game for seeding purposes.
Yeah, it is kind of funny how much it does feel like it's going down to AFC North versus AFC East for the 1 seed.
Yeah.
But, like, the Texans very well could just sneak in there while we're battling it out.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously they're keeping an eye on it, too. Doesn't really matter to them who wins or loses, though. Actually, no, it doesn't because they have a tie. It's fucking bastards. No tiebreakers required. I was going to say, well, they'd hope the Bills would lose for tiebreakers, but no, the ties don't fucking – they tied.
Yeah.
They broke the tie already. Anyway, their schedule is probably easy going down the stretch to the South relative to the rest of the division. So, yeah, for either of these two teams, I don't think you feel good about the 1 seed for them if they lose, because not only then are they essentially a game and a half back on the other team that then is the 1 seed, but then you're probably either just barely a game up still or tied with your team in the division. Or in the Bills case, right? If they lose but the Jets still lose and the Dolphins win, there's 2 teams a game back. So, like, you've got a lot of division competition, let alone trying to win the 1 seed.
Yeah.
It's not like any of these teams have an easy schedule coming up, so it's not over. But, like, you're then so much closer to the rest of the conference, to the 1 seed, that you're not ahead of the pack. You are in the pack.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough. That's why that loss last week hurt so goddamn bad. Could beat the Bears, because, like, fuck, like, that was it. Like, it was my cushion. It was the one game I had that I was like, I have one, but I need to use it against Baltimore or fucking Buffalo. And Chicago came up and got us.
Yeah.
And they played well, so hats off to them. I'm not saying they shouldn't have beat us, because I thought they were going to be a 10, 12 win team anyway. But hadn't worked out that way. But man, it hurts. See, hurts bad.
Yeah.
It was a bad week for us.
Yeah.
Our records coming into that week when we didn't play each other was 17-2.
Yeah.
Our win percentage in games we didn't share.
Well, watching a lot of these games, it seemed like it was the underdog week this week. I feel like there's always one of them where just, like, all the underdogs or all the good teams that you'd expect to win end up losing.
Yeah, so it was like, fuck. Yeah. It was 16-2. No, 16-1. No, 16-2. I was right. 16-2 was our record coming in, and we just lost. So, fuck. Which obviously yours was pretty much a toss. It was whoever, yours was based on favorite was the home team sort of deal.
Yeah.
But I was on the road, and maybe it would have been close spread wise, but yeah.
Rough one.
Yeah, that's what it is. But that's it. It's Madden. We know that it's going to be the case. We're going to drop a couple games.
Yep.
I don't think that we're going to see at this point, 14-win team in the AFC. It's probably 13-4 tiebreakers to get the 1 seed.
Yep.
It's a race at 13.
Yeah.
Who wins the race is the question.
Yep. So I think that's pretty much going to do it for this Thanksgiving preview show. Steele, thanks for joining me. And
thanks for having me on.
Go enjoy your dinner.
I will. All right. Bye.
Yeah.